Hey everyone, Garfam here, and today we'll be discussing two new features for patch 2.4, Augmenting Items and Empowered Rifts. Now remember, this is for the PTR right now, so any specific details might be altered, but the general idea will stay the same. And after I explain these two new features, I'll also be giving you some tricks for next season that you'll want to keep in mind. So, first off, Augmenting Items. Augmenting Items refers to a new recipe in Kanai's Cube. So what you'll need is a rank 30 gem, a rank 40 gem, or a rank 50 gem, depending on which piece of gear you want to augment. The piece of gear that you can augment has to be ancient. So it can't just be any normal legendary, it has to be an ancient one, with the golden border. And you'll need 3 of one of these following gems. Now what you'll do is, you'll put in your ancient items, so my Sword of Ill Will, let's say I want to augment that, and let's say I want to put Dex on it, so I'll offer up 3 Royal Emeralds, and let's say I want to use my Boon of the Hoarder to do this. And since my Boon of the Hoarder is rank 37, what's going to happen when I hit Transmute is, for each rank I have on this gem, it's going to add 5 points of Dex to my weapon. So 37 times 5, well, we'll let that figure it out for us. I should now have some more Dex, and right there you can see at the bottom, plus 185 Dex. So it took my gems and it put them into my Sword of Ill Will. Now, if at a later date I wanted to put more Dex in here, I could redo this process, put 3 more emeralds in and another legendary gem in, and it would replace the current stats. So it wouldn't add up, but it would replace it. And something you'll want to keep in mind when you're augmenting your items is that while there is a minimum requirement on the gem ranks for certain pieces of gear, there is no maximum to the gem ranks. So whatever rank you can get your gems to, you can put it into your gear. So at the end of the season, if you're getting rank 60, 70, 80 gems, and you have all your pieces of gear ancient, you can put all those gems into your gear. And if you have like level 70 gems augmented into 13 pieces of gear, that's going to add up to a huge stat bonus. And I actually did the math on some of that stuff, and I'll show you guys that after we talk about empowered rifts. So if we go over here to the Nephilim Obelisk, we'll see what empowered rifts are. So they're the same as a normal greater rift, except for 2 key parts. It's going to cost you extra gold to get in, along with your greater rift keystone, and if you finish it on time, instead of 3 chances to upgrade your gems, you'll get 4 chances to upgrade your gems. Now you're wondering, why would I spend so much gold on that? Well, there's 2 reasons. One is because, well, what else are you going to spend your gold on? I have 42 billion gold in my inventory right now, so I could open up a couple of empowered greater rifts. And secondly, as we mentioned earlier, augmenting items, you need to level up your legendary gems. So this is going to help cut down the time to upgrade all of your gems. Now onto the strategy for augmenting your items in patch 2.4. And this strategy can be used by both non-seasonal and seasonal people. Non-seasonal players can start leveling up their gems before the next patch hits, so you can augment your items right away. Otherwise, seasonal people will just start leveling up your gems like you normally would when the season starts. And we're going to break this into 2 phases, the early phase of the season and the late phase of the season, or era if you're a non-seasonal player. So in the early phase of the season, what you're going to want to do is get 13 legendary gems in addition to your normal gems. So let's say you normally take Bane of the Trapped, Zeiss Stone, and Bane of the Stricken. You're going to want 13 gems in addition to those ones. So you're also going to want it to be a relatively useless gem that you're not going to use in any of your builds, so you don't accidentally augment a gem that you meant to keep for a build. So I'm going to be getting 13 invigorating gemstones because I don't see myself using that gem for any build. And what you're going to do is, while you're gearing up and Paragon leveling up, you'll start ranking these up. And I imagine around the time that you get 13 to rank 50 or 60, you should be in some decent farming gear that you're comfortable farming in with for the rest of the season. Now obviously there's going to have to be all ancient pieces, so you're going to want to aim towards getting ancient pieces to farm in. And then once you have all those and your gems are around rank 50 or 60, put those into your farming gear. And I recommend putting them on the character that you're going to spend most of the season grinding paragons or farming on, so you'll get the most use out of those 13 gems. Now moving into the second phase of the season, you're going to need to recollect those gems again, because you put those gems into your farming gear, but you're going to want to re-level those gems to put into your late game pushing gear. So as the season goes on, you'll probably find a couple upgrades, but instead of wasting your time re-augmenting it every time you find a replacement for your gear, you'll just keep that gear and then keep leveling up your gems until the end of the season. And then once you hit the end of the season, that's when you'll put all those gems into your best pieces of gear for pushing. So by the end of the season, if you have like rank 70 or 80 gems, you'll put those into your pushing gear the last week or two of the season for pushing. And the reason you want to do that is so you don't waste time re-leveling gems every time you find an upgrade. That would just waste so much of your time, and it would lower the amount of upgrades you would have available at the end of the season. Let's say you spent so much time re-leveling those gems, you didn't push your other gems as high because you couldn't do as many 1% or whatever because you were so busy re-leveling them. Also, another thing you're going to want to keep in mind for the second phase is how many characters you plan to push on for the end of the season. So if you're only planning on pushing with one character, then you'll just get 13 gems again. Otherwise, if you're pushing on 2 or 3 characters, that's obviously going to increase the amount of gems you need to start farming by increments of 13. So if you're going for 1, 13, 2, 26, 3, 39, and so on up until 6, where you would have to collect 78 legendary gems. And that will actually take a huge chunk of the season to do. That's why I recommend you save those gems until the last week or so of the season, so they'll be as high of a ranks as you can get them. So now that we have a strategy down for augmenting our gear, probably wondering, well, how are empowered rifts going to play into this? Because I need to level up 26 gems just to push on 2 characters, and that's so many gems, it's going to take me so long. How are empowered rifts going to help? Well, to tell you the truth, I don't have a super specific strategy for it, and that's sort of because of the huge cost to open an empowered rift. It costs so much money to open them that it's hard to base a strategy around them. But what I can say is that you're not going to want to do this during the first phase, because you're going to want to make sure you have enough money to craft items if you need to, or to reroll items if you need to. And you don't want to have to worry about micromanaging your gold along with empowered rifts. I feel it would be most useful during the second phase when you're re-leveling those gems and you already have your farming gear. This is the point in the season when that gold is actually starting to really accumulate and you can spend it more freely. So I would say during that second phase, just spend as much of your money as you can on leveling those gems, because in the long run, it will cut down on how long it takes you to level those up, and it'll increase how many chances you have once you start getting to those really low percents of getting an upgrade. So now you know how empowered rifts work, and you have a strategy for augmenting your gear. You're probably wondering, is it really worth all that trouble to level up so many gems? It sounds like such a hassle, it's so much extra work. Does it really pay off? The answer to that is it is absolutely worth it. You will get so much main stat. And I'm not just saying that, I did the math. So I'll show you an example here. If I were to put 13 gems, that's 1 for each piece of gear, and I can have them all ancient, and each gem is level 50. If I put 13 level 50 gems into my gear, I'll get 3,250 more dex. That will be equivalent to the amount of dex I could get from 1,350 paragon levels. So it is absolutely worth it to augment every piece of gear you can with the highest level gems as you can get. So that example is actually pulled from a larger table of data that I put together when you want to consider empowered risks and augmenting items. It includes things like how many greater risks it would take to level up so many gems, and how many empowered risks it would take, and the difference between those two, and how much time it would save, how much gold it would cost, and how much main stat you'll get from having so many gems at what level. And I'll have that table in the description if you want to see the entire thing, and I also have some notes on the side as to how I did some of those calculations. But otherwise, guys, for the video, that's all I have on empowered risks and augmenting items. I hope you learned something, and let me know in the comments what you think about empowered risks and augmenting items. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate a like, and make sure to subscribe for more Diablo guides. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have an awesome day.